Since 1866, communities and families have celebrated the turning point in Black American history. Known as Juneteenth, this commemoration marks the ending of slavery in America. Joining us with an inaugural event to be celebrated in North Charleston is Octavia Edwards, founder of the Juneteenth Freedom Fest. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on this new festival that's coming to North Charleston.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting for us all. We're ready for June 19th to celebrate with our community. It's Juneteenth is definitely, and it's not new. It's originated out of Galveston, Texas in 1865 when Union soldiers arrived and basically announced the Emancipation Proclamation, a couple years after the Emancipation Proclamation was actually set forth. So we're just very excited to be finally, because it's been 3 years to celebrate Juneteenth here in Charleston is very significant.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So the Juneteenth celebration has been widely celebrated across the country, but particularly in North Charleston, you felt that you needed to bring it closer to the community. So what happened during those 3 years?
Well, so for starters, our the African American community have been celebrating Juneteenth, just not as much as on the large scale platform. And for me, I actually found out about Juneteenth about 5 years ago. Yeah, because it's not taught in schools. It's not really in the history books because it did originated in Texas. However, when our ancestors, when they started to migrate, that was something that definitely migrated with them because it did capture, sort of that delayed process. Most people, when you think about the Emancipation Proclamation, when you learn it in school, you're thinking, oh, this is when, those of African descent were no longer enslaved. Like that was the day. And it was so far from the truth. It was that delayed process, right?
That's right.
And so for us, in Charleston, they've been celebrating it. But when I found out, it was a social media conversation. I can't recall, it was in 2017, maybe on June 19th or July 4th, right?
Yeah, right,
And one of my Facebook friends, he brought up that, hey, we will celebrate July 4th, but we don't, when Juneteenth comes around, it's crickets, and someone made a comment and said that's because most people don't know, was not taught in schools or anything. So how else are we supposed to know? So I piggybacked off of it,
And I think what's important for people to also understand is that there are deep roots in the Gullah Geechee culture in North Charleston, and that nearly half of enslaved Africans brought to America did come through Charleston. But a lot of that particular Gullah Geechee culture settled right where North Charleston sits.
Exactly. And so, and for the most part, that was the people who were like celebrating, Juneteenth. And then when you think about African Americans, why is Charleston so significant? Nearly 80% today of African Americans can trace an ancestor back to Charleston. And the Gullah Geechee, they've been doing a great job of raising awareness of, how much culture and how much contributions they've made to Charleston and just African Americans in general. And so that is one of the reasons why I feel like it was very important to, make this celebration something big, and that it was our responsibility to do so, especially for our youth.
And those influences are alive to this very day. We see it in the culture, in the food, in the music, in so much stuff that we are surrounded by every single day. It's just incumbent upon us to open our eyes and open our ears and recognize all of those contributions. So let's get into the festival. So this is happening at Riverfront Park. Maybe you can give our viewers some details on how they can partake.
Yeah, so it's happening at Riverfront Park. It is a free event. That's something that we worked really hard on, so we were able to get so much tremendous support from our community, from small businesses, the city of North Charleston as well, and nonprofit organizations. So it is, like I said, it's free. And what we decided to make sure that it was imperative that we focus on is our youth. So although we're going to have live performances throughout the day, we're going to have a grand fireworks show, we're also going to be focusing on building community building and making sure that we really focus on the next generation. We have scholarships, 3 scholarships for South Carolina high schoolers who are seniors. You can basically go to our Facebook page to learn more about our scholarships and what are the requirements. That is something that we wanted to make sure, like, hey, when we talk about education, right?
Yes.
How are we supporting our youth when it comes to education? We can talk
Ab-
about it, but what are we doing, right?
Absolutely. And this is actually a good place to take a break here, Octavia. When we come back, I want to talk about the Passion Project Initiative. We're going to get into that in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We've been chatting with Octavia Edwards. She's the founder of the Juneteenth Freedom Fest that's happening in North Charleston on June 19th. And this is the celebration that has been around since 1865, that families across America have been celebrating the emancipation of African slaves here in the United States. And you're doing so at Riverfront Park. It's going to be a fun event for the family, but it's not just sponsored by various businesses in the area. It is also sponsored by a special initiative, and maybe you can tell our viewers more about this.
Yeah, so Passion Project Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit that I founded about a year ago. And basically, what we do at Passion Project Initiative is we create platforms that cultivate social change through education, empowerment, and community engagement. And so, one of those tiers that we do is making sure that we focus on purposeful events that will bring our community together and open dialogue and build community. So that is like basically what Passion Project is all about. And Juneteenth is one of this is our first big major event that we have been able to organize. And we're going to have so many other major events to follow that will definitely hold true to our mission.
That's wonderful, Octavia. Well, congratulations on this. Again, it's the Juneteenth Freedom Fest Charleston. It's happening Saturday, June 19th. Doors open at 2 p.m., fireworks at 9:30. Fun for the whole family. Everyone's going to be socially distanced. Everything's going to be safe, but you're going to have food, music. You're going to have arts and crafts, all kinds of things to bring the community together. Octavia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Leyla.
We're back after this.